But why, though?
Good luck.
This was one of the oddest announcements in gaming history, to me at least. Of all the characters who might make it into live action, Fox McCloud of Star Fox fame was not the one I expected, and I certainly didn't expect him to show up in the Mario Galaxy movie of all things. Now, as of recording this, the movie isn't out yet, so I have no idea how much of an impact Fox even has on this movie. Heck, I don't even know if the movie is any good. What I do know is that I now have a sudden, renewed interest in one of Nintendo's forgotten hit franchises. Nowadays, I'd wager that most people remember Fox from Super Smash Bros., where he's been an icon of that game since literally the very first game. But that's not where he started. The Star Fox series used to be one of the biggest names in Nintendo's roster back in the 90s. Fox first hit the scene in 1993's Star Fox for Super Nintendo. The main point of that game was to show off the SNES's, at the time, cutting-edge ability to render 3D graphics. Mode 7 they called it, and boy don't it look great. This was mind-blowing back in the 90s, alright? I mean, games just didn't do this. Playing this game in 1993 was probably the closest you could get to the feeling of actually sitting in the cockpit of an X-Wing starfighter. It also kinda sucks. Yeah, it's revolutionary graphical power. Yeah, it created an iconic character, but I don't want any of these pixels. I didn't get enough polygons, and I certainly didn't get enough highly memeable voice lines. What I need is Star Fox 64. You see, Star Fox was made by Japan's most whimsical living soul, Shigeru Miyamoto, because he can do whatever the heck he wants and Nintendo seems powerless to stop him. Almost as soon as the first game came out, he started working on a sequel. But someone decided that games need to be in 3D now to be cool, so Star Fox 2 would be scrapped, despite being basically complete. It eventually came out almost 30 years later on the Switch Classic system. Enter the Nintendo 64, with cutting-edge 3D graphics, sophisticated processors, and analog joysticks. It's a frickin' revelation. It's beautiful. And it needed a Star Fox game. Instead of starting completely from scratch, Miyamoto and the rest of the team working on this project decided to cannibalize what they could from the other two Star Fox games. The story scenarios and basic gameplay mechanics were taken from Star Fox, and some of the upgraded mechanics and features were taken from Star Fox 2. In the end, their work culminated in this, Star Fox 64. Gosh dang do I love this game. If you made me pick one game from the Nintendo 64 era to really encapsulate this era of Nintendo games and I wasn't allowed to pick Mario 64 or either Zelda title, this might be the game of choice. There are other games from this time period that I probably enjoy more on a personal level, but there's something about Star Fox 64 that just feels special. The gameplay, the characters, the world and environments, it just works, and it only really seems to work here. Nintendo would try multiple times over the years to capture the magic of Star Fox 64, and spoiler alert for later in this video, they never really were able to do that. Some attempts are better than others, but nothing has ever been able to hit that perfect alignment of the heavens that Star Fox 64 managed to do back in 1997. The question for me though is, why? I mean, I'm gushing over Star Fox right now, but truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of the series. I just love Star Fox 64. What is it about this game that makes me remember it so fondly? Was it about this game that is able to make Fox, as a character, so iconic we have to put him in every Smash game and bring along two other characters from his franchise? What is it about this game that makes it an icon of the Nintendo 64 where other Star Fox games struggle to even get attention. That's the quest I'm working on today. I intend to play through Star Fox 64 and see if I can actually put into words how I feel about this game. I mean, there's gotta be an explanation if only I can uncover it. So, without further ado, let's lock in. Right from turning on the game, I think Star Fox 64 does a lot to catch the audience. The opening scene of the Great Fox flying through space as we get hailed by General Pepper, seeing the Star Fox team dashing through the hallways and powering on their R-Wings, and that title screen music flair. It all creates a sense of urgency and epicness. The player understands immediately what type of game this is. There's not going to be any slow-paced, cerebral RPG thinking here. This is a high-octane, action-packed battle, so you better be ready to strap in and go full throttle. And for the people who do want to take things a little bit slower with their narratives, hitting main game will start off by giving you the rundown of the basic history and lore leading up to this. It's like the opening crawl of a Star Wars movie. You're simultaneously geared up for the action and adventure, and you've absorbed some of the basic exposition so the game doesn't have to waste time shoehorning it into the dialogue. Fox's dad is dead, and Andros is attacking the Lilat system. Let's go! Star Fox 64 does so much to set up both the tone and the game and the feel of the world before you even do a single second of gameplay. It's kind of a master class in how to start a game. If you want to just bash A to skip it all, you can, but you really don't need to, as it's not that long anyway. The entire opening sequence, from the visuals to the voice acting, sell you on the whole experience without really overstaying their welcome. Plenty of games waste your time with their opening sequence, even games I love. Star Fox 64 politely asks you to non-mandatorily spend some time listening to what's going on, and then gives you an engaging yet succinct overview. I've pushed all of 2 buttons so far, and I'm totally sold on what's to come. I'm engaged with the characters, and I have a decent understanding of the type of gameplay I'm about to go through. It's really kind of brilliant. Then you hit start on the first level and you get all the payoff for this setup. This is another place I think Star Fox 64 masterfully introduces itself to the player. A lot of games in the genre of starfighter combat would probably want to put the player in space, in the middle of a pitched battle. Star Fox sets us in this big blue ocean, leading into a battle over land. While there are segments in space, starting the player in the atmosphere of a planet helps give the player a frame of reference. Piloting in the void of space can easily be pretty disorienting, especially to a new player, and especially in the coming all-range mode segments. Starting the game in Corneria on a standard rail segment allows the player to get comfortable with the controls while still feeling really epic. Star Fox 64 does start the player in the middle of a pitched battle, but it also shows the team flying into that battle and gives you, the player, a few seconds before the enemies start appearing so that you can get a feel for your controls. I do admit that parts of the game show their age here. I mean, there are no settings that can change the movement of the R-Wing, so you kind of have to just get used to it, which can be a little frustrating if the controls are the inverse of what you would prefer them to be. The actual levels, though, are great. Each one does a lot to keep itself standing out, even the ones that are just set in the vacuum of space. Sometimes these things are as simple as what enemies you'll encounter, and other times they have wildly different environments and even different vehicles that you can drive. Many likely remember the iconic Landmaster because it was Fox's final smash for years, but playing with it is a whole different game. The Landmaster and the Blue Marine change up the gameplay enough to make each one feel justified in its existence. They're not just a reskin of the R-Wing, they're their own vehicles. The Blue Marine has full 3-dimensional movement, but it's a lot slower and the individual shots are less powerful. It makes up for this with a lock-on infinite torpedo launcher. The Landmaster is stuck on the ground, but it can do all these handy flips, and plus, it's a tank, that's awesome! However, you will be spending most of your time in the R-Wing, and they made sure that your main functions are never boring. The standard on-rail segment, which makes up most of the game, are really tight and they're responsive. Despite this being an N64 game and having about a baker's dozen of polygons available for every model, it still looks great, and you can feel the speed of the R-Wing. It feels like a real aircraft and it moves like one too. Even with something as basic as just moving across the screen, you still feel like you're flying a superpowered starfighter. The environments do a lot for this as well. I already mentioned how great the first few seconds of the first level are and how they help get the player feeling comfortable behind the controls of their ship. But the entire rest of the level is just as good. It's probably because I wasn't very good at games as a child, but this level will always be one of my favorites. Transitioning from flying along the bay into the canyon and then into Corneria City proper is such a great sequence of events and makes the Lilat system feel like a real place. Now, like any shoot 'em up, which is essentially what Star Fox is, there are a lot of additional items that you can pick up. There are silver rings that replenish your shields, bombs which are a consumable that can deal a lot of damage, gold rings that increase your life when you get 3 of them, and my favorite, the laser upgrades. You start with one simple laser, but grabbing a laser upgrade will give you twin lasers, and grabbing a second one gives you the extra powerful twin blue lasers. While everything that I've mentioned so far is great, there's one thing I haven't mentioned yet that makes Star Fox 64 truly memorable: the chatter. Star Fox 64 features voice acting, which, for 1997, sounds really great.
It's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world.
I'll do my best. Andros won't have his way with me.
The actors all do a great job in general, which is a little surprising given the quality of voice acting that you can expect in games from this time period. And they don't just talk to you in cutscenes. On a very regular basis, members of Team Star Fox will chime in with various comments. Even Fox himself says things pretty regularly, and some of these lines are just straight up iconic.
Slippy, watch out! Bogey on your tail! Hey, Einstein, I'm on your side! Do a barrel roll!
Thanks, Fox! I thought they had me.
Never give up! Trust your instinct!
Your wingmen even have their own health bars and will take damage over time. They'll occasionally ask you for help getting bogeys off their tail, or to tell you to target specific enemies or bosses. While there are definitely sections where the dialogue can get annoying, if Slippy asks me for help one more time, I swear! The chatter does so much for making every member of the crew an actual character. You get a feel for their personalities and why these guys are on Fox's crew in the first place. It's not even just your wingmen that can chime in. You'll occasionally get messages from people like General Pepper and Rob64, who will occasionally send you items. But even the enemies have great lines in this game.
Ah, so this is Star Fox. I'm no match for you. I admit defeat. If this does not work, my Emperor, I failed you! Songbird, I am the Great Leon! Gassy little freak!
These guys are crazy.
Having this chatter makes guys who would otherwise just be faceless enemy ships into memorable boss fights. And of course, no boss in this game is more iconic than Star Wolf.
Don't get too cocky, Star Fox. Let's see how you handle our new ships. Too bad Dad's not here to see you fail. We'll make sure you never reach Android.
There's a reason why Fox's Wario made it into Smash. Every encounter with the Star Wolf crew is incredible. Since we're talking about Star Wolf, I should probably cover the final form of gameplay that this game has, as all these Star Wolf encounters follow it. All range mode.
All range mode.
This mode, limited primarily to boss fights and multiplayer versus mode, is the essence of Star Fox. Taking the R-Wing off the rails and giving the player full control over aerial movement turns this from a simple shoot-'em-up game to a full-on dogfight simulator. You can bank and dip and somersault and more, all while tracking your opponents and trying your best to aim at them and land a single blow. It's all skill-based too. I hit a wall on some of the harder levels and was really struggling to get through some of the boss fights. Naturally, being a full-grown adult with internet access, I tried to look it up, thinking there must be some sort of trick that I wasn't getting. Nope, I just sucked. Star Fox doesn't hold your hand. It expects you to get a good understanding of the controls if you want to win. Honestly, there were parts of this game that I thought I just couldn't beat, and I didn't even do everything. There are bonus medals that can be achieved for taking out enough enemies in every level, and there is bonus content available to you if you're able to get them all. And I got 1 through sheer dumb luck. The skill doesn't feel impossible though. It's not asking you to be perfect, it's asking you to get good. Because of the skill required, pulling off any successful maneuver in all range mode feels so cathartic. There are multiple bosses that use all range mode for their fights, but Star Wolf is definitely the best, because you're not fighting a giant robot, you're fighting ship to ship. You know how in a game like Dark Souls or Bloodborne, the hardest and most memorable bosses aren't always the giant terrifying monsters, they're the ones that are just regular shaped guys? Star Fox has the same thing. There are 3 possible Star Wolf battles in the game, and they escalate in difficulty each time. The first one, on Fortuna, probably has the best opening lines.
Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
Andros has ordered us to take you down.
Happy, long time no see.
Andros' enemy is my enemy. Just what I need to see. Star Wolf.
I love how not impressed Fox is, in general. It's great. However, the one on Venom is legitimately one of the most difficult boss fights I've ever attempted. In all Star Wolf fights, the 4 members of each team will square up against their rival. Falco against Leon, Slippy against Andrew, Peppy against Pigma Dengar, and of course, Star Wolf will come gunning for you. On Venom, the chances are that Falco, Slippy, and Peppy all start the fight with decreased health from the gauntlet you just had to run through to get there. If any of them go down though, their respective rival won't just target another member of your crew, they'll come gunning for Fox. Shaking off just Wolf long enough to do some damage is hard. Taking out 2 or more of these guys when they're always on you? Borderline impossible. At one point, I even tried to cheese them out by tricking them into running into walls. And while I did get a couple of kills that way, it was ultimately a total failure. I simply had to get good. If you were anything like me though, you probably never even got to the Star Wolf Venom fight as a kid. That's because Star Fox has different paths the player can go on as they wind their way through the Lilat system to Andros' home base. Little babies such as myself could only ever complete the basic route, partially because I sucked at the game, but also because Star Fox 64 rewards the player for getting good by having secrets and optional objectives. The plot remains essentially the same in all of the routes, though the endings are a tad different. The main difference is the levels you complete change a lot. In the basic path, you fight your way to Andros and then blow up his giant robotic face. We watch the credits roll, but the shadow of Andros looms. Did we really defeat him, or just his robotic duplicate? In order to find the true ending though, we'll have to do a little bit of digging. Now as a kid, I think I always knew about the hard path, but I always assumed the requirements for it would just be absurd. Truthfully though, they aren't that bad. I totally get how the kids of the 90s were able to figure this one out. To start the hard route, you begin in the very first level. You have to save Falco from the enemies on his tail, and then fly through all of these stone archways in this water segment. Apparently, this impresses Falco so much, he actually does his job and takes you to the true boss of the level. In the next level, you have to get at least 100 kills by the end. It only took me a couple tries to be able to do this consistently. After that, you just have to do what the game tells you to do in the rest of the levels, which is easier said than done. I had a lot of trouble trying to take out these missiles in the level where you have to protect the Great Fox because someone kept asking me to help him. Your reward for flying through these hoops is the aforementioned incredibly difficult Star Wolf battle on Venom, and then the true final boss against Andross's disembodied brain Ananias? Okay, so this world has anthropomorphic animals as the main character. That's fine, I get it. And they fly ships and they've got robots and things. Okay, I get that. Why, though, is the final boss a giant head and brain? Was Andross born like this? Did he make himself like this? If so, why would he make himself like this? Was it an accident? Or was it intentional? Andross doesn't seem to make much sense. This is another pretty difficult boss fight. His eyes are basically always on your tail, and if you get caught in his tentacles, which have an absurd hitbox by the way, and are also right next to his only weak point, you will take a ton of damage, and he'll break your R-Wing, stripping you of any laser upgrades. Beating him causes him to pull the old toddler temper tantrum and try to blow himself up along with the base. Just then though, probably a ghost of Fox's dad shows up in his R-Wing to lead you through the base and save your life. That was weird. Now, the galaxy can live in peace, and Fox turns down a lucrative desk job in the Cornerian Air Force in favor of running the Star Fox team.
Star Fox, we are in your debt. I would be honored to have you as part of the Cornerian
Oh, no, sir. We prefer doing things our own way.
Alright, I guess we can at least bill them for our work though. 64 grand, I saved the galaxy and the Cornerian military can't even fork over the US median household income? I'm getting gypped. Now that I've tackled the game, can I answer my questions from the beginning? Well, partially. I don't know if I can solve why Nintendo has never been able to recapture the magic of this game, but I do think I have a better understanding of why Star Fox 64 is such an iconic game. You see, there's this theory that I've been working on for a while now. I call it the George Lucas technique. I know I made some Star Wars references before, but that's called foreshadowing. When you watch the original Star Wars movie, you are able to get the sense very early on that this world just is a world. The characters are just people. Locations are just places. George Lucas was weirdly good at just setting up a world that felt real despite the fantastical scenarios. You can see it best with the relationship of the characters. Go rewatch episode 4 to episode 5 back to back. At the start of episode 5, you're able to instantly get the sense that even though we don't see anything that is in between the movies, the characters have spent a lot of time together, and were skilled and competent in their roles that we are finding them in now. Even in the prequels, where the acting and general plot structure often left much to be desired, this is still true. Obi-Wan and Anakin in episode 2 feel like people who have spent years fighting side by side. Star Fox 64, to bring it back to our point, accomplishes the George Lucas technique. Every time a character chimes in, you're able to get the sense that there's real history behind their comments. Peppy starts the game repeating what Fox's dad says at the end of the game, but you still know that Peppy is the type of character who would share the wisdom of past generations when he says it the first time. Falco's bravado feels like something that he could back up from the first time he opens his beak. Every time you have a Star Wolf battle, you get the sense that these two crews have clashed multiple times before, and this is just the latest in a years-long rivalry that we just don't get to see. Paired with great gameplay that really makes you feel like a starfighter pilot and an incredibly hard but satisfying challenge, and you really have a great game on your hands. It's no wonder Star Fox 64 is so iconic when you factor all that stuff in. It's truly worthy of all the hype and nostalgia it brings to people. Now, I'm gonna go play it some more. But before that, why don't you like this video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye.